hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Jason Stapleton and this is the Forex Market Preview. Thank you so very much for joining me today. And there are a couple of things. I see I have my eyeglass thing. I just got this. I didn't like the white balance of the other camera that I was using, so I got this thing downloaded so it was not so yellow. I do all the videography at our office, and so it's kind of a hobby of mine, and I couldn't stand the fact that every time I did one of these things, it was all like tungsten yellow. And so I kind of adjusted the white balance a little bit, so that's what I had popped up on my screen there. But today we're going to cover a couple of things. First of all, thank you for joining. If you're brand new, if you just signed up, we get 100 people a week or so to sign up for the Forex Market Preview. So it's a growing thing, and I hope you enjoy it. And I really appreciate you being here. And of course, if you're one of the people who return over and over and over again, there's about 50,000 of you or so that get this email every week. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys watching every week. We are going to cover here the Euro USD and then the pound dollar. As I said in the email that I put out to you this week, a couple of things happen. I'm going to start with the Euro and then move over to what I think is a really, really great potential buying opportunity in the pound. But I'm going to give you kind of the conditions that I'm using to determine whether or not I'm going to be in that market. So let's go ahead, let me pull over the euro dollar chart, and let's take a look at the euro dollar. Now, if you guys remember, we're on a 4-hour chart here on the euro dollar, and if you will remember last week, we talked about, and I hope you guys like the white. I had a bunch of complaints about the blue. They couldn't see what was going on, so I've gone to a white background. So please leave me a comment, let me know whether or not this is something that you liked. And we took a look at, the market has basically stair-stepped all the way down. And we started the week last week. We were all the way down here. The market had punched through the lows. And we were looking at potential lows. Now, I told you I was bearish, which I'm still justified in believing that, having looked at it again, even at the end of this week. The way we had closed, the lower time frame that we looked at last week, I'll let you go back and look at the chart last week if you want to. But basically, I felt fairly convicted here that we were going to be seeing this market go lower. But I said, and you remember in last week's video, I said, I'll know I'm wrong if we violate these highs. And so I had a real whipsaw trading week this week because the market started out, we rallied all the way back up, we violated structure, then the market pulled back down, and then guess what happened? We got unemployment news. And boom, the market dropped all the way off like a stone, and then gave us another little, basically sidestepped its way into the end of the week. So if you were looking for long positions, the market to come back down into previous structure support, kind of the things that we talk about, market blew right through that. And I was watching, it was the same way across the majority of the dollar-based pairs. It was just basically a huge rollover. Now, what is so interesting about that is that we held the line. If you look at the line here, we held, and you can't hardly see that because it's not used to having a white background. But we held this line right here. Let me draw it in with a trend line instead so you guys can see it. Market held the support level right there, and then we rallied back off of it. And if you're paying attention to your structure, if you're looking at this, now we could be wrong again. I don't know that I'm right this week or not, but I'm definitely not looking for the euro to go any lower at this point without a rally first. Because if you guys will look at this, we've had the stair step down, haven't we? Stair step, stair step, stair step, all the way down, each time making lower highs as it went, until right there. Market violated that structure, indicating that it wants to go higher. Now, it didn't go higher. It pulled all the way back and retested support. However, we didn't go lower. So this is not a false breakout. All this is a retracement back into previous structure support, which now has become support again. So what are we looking for here? Are we looking for a rally back up into 131s, or are we looking for a dive back down into 129s? Well, I'm going to be watching for the market to go north. If I'm a trend trader, if I'm trading with the underlying trend, I'm definitely on my lower time frame charts, I'm definitely looking for this market to rally. That is going to be the path of least resistance because the market has shown 1, 2, 3 times it has tested this support level, and we've broken structure to the upside. So, I mean, all eyes point to a higher euro, to the euro dollar going up next week, and we're going to see whether or not that's the case. Now, again, what will change my point of view? If we close below the lows here, I'm not fixed in a side. I'm not going to say, well, it's got to go up, it's got to go up, it's got to go up. If we break below, close below these previous lows, that will put me back into bearish continuation. That will get my eyes turned now thinking bearish, because the market has shown me what it intends to do. Right now, it is telling me that it intends to go higher, even though we had a very long candle here after the news event. Market held that support level. We could not violate it. So be on the lookout for that as we move into next week. Now let's move over to the pound. And this is what's going to be really interesting. This is one of those things where if I'm right, and for those of you who think that, like, oh, this is like the easiest job in the world. Oh, you just get up there and say what you think. And then, people, all you do is get up there and tell what people think. Try being wrong. That's one of the things that I tell people. My analysis is wrong all the time. I don't always get it right. A lot of times intra-week, my sentiment will change as per the Euro USD trade that I just gave you. Many times, if the market moves, it changes what I anticipate is going to happen based on the structure breaks. However, and you should hear some of the just vile things that people write every time you're wrong. Nobody tends to email you and say how awesome it is when you're right, but they oftentimes tell you when you're wrong. But let's take a look. We're going to go all the way out to a weekly chart. Okay? Here we had the support level in here. And I'm actually going to grab a little bit more data here. Let's get 5 years of data. Okay. And we're going to look at the previous low. Here's where we are now. We sit right here, and if we look at the most recent price action, you can see this shelf. 1, 2, 3 tests. The market rallies back up, and boom, we break below, close below those lows. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The market came back up, filled the gap, and then has rolled over. Now the question is, where is it going to go? We haven't retested previous structure support. All we did was fill the gap. And the market has continued to decline. Looking at our RSI right now at the bottom of your screen, we are now sitting at 7.1. The RSI on the weekly chart is buried. Look left. Structure leaves clues. There is your next support level, coming in at around 43.65s. Odds are the market is going there. That would be the prediction. Now the question is, when is it going there? If the market is buried on the weekly chart, there is a high probability that we will get a rally prior to the decline. The market will rally a bit, and it will give us a relief so that it can build some momentum to the downside. That's what would be healthy for this market, would be healthy for this chart. Now, the question is, when is it going to roll? If it does, when is it going to rally? If it's going to rally, when is it going to rally, and where is it going to rally to? Well, we can look left at our structure support level, and we can ID that as now potential resistance. And we can say, okay, if the market rallies, there's a high probability that it's going to roll right back into previous structure support, which will now act as resistance. So now I start drilling down. Now that I've seen my weekly chart, and I know that my weekly chart is buried, and I know that it is becoming a lot more probable that the market will rally rather than continue to decline, I start to break it down, and I come down to my daily chart. The daily chart is putting in bullish divergence. Starting at about that break of structure at 52.44, the market has continued to decline, but the RSI has continued to rally. So as this market is going lower, it is doing so on less and less strength. But I still, on the daily chart, have nothing really that I can trade there. The market is just continuing to go lower and make new structure lows, and that's not something that we want to get involved with. So now I continue to break it down. I go to my 4-hour chart. I scroll over to the end of my 4-hour chart, and I can see that the market just recently broke through some previous lows at around 49.84s, new structure lows. This also just happens to be on the news event. And then the market traded sideways, just similar to the euro. Similar to the euro, the market came down, then we traded sideways for about 8 hours, and we closed out the day. Let's go one deeper. Let's go to the hourly chart. And let's take a look at what happened on the hourly chart. Ooh, this gets interesting, doesn't it? Now we still have bullish divergence, but now we have a double bottom, don't we? Market came in, put in an initial low, we rallied up, we came back down, and the market held the support level. Let's go one more. Let's go to a 15-minute chart. I'm going to drill all the way down here. Now we have low, retest, retest. Each time, actually across this bottom, we now have initial test. We had some bullish divergence there. The market tried to rally, then we came back. We've gone oversold again into that structure level, and the market held that structure level. We have put together now 49.20s, an opportunity to look to get long. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to give you what my plan is here. The spike low is going to be the stop placement. So I'm going to get underneath this low at 148.44. I'll go 148.74. Okay? And I'm actually going to go out onto a higher time frame chart here on the hourly. So 148.74. And I'm going to look to be a buyer at the open, assuming a couple of things happen. Back to the 15-minute chart. Assuming we don't get a gap above these highs at 49.47 or a gap below the low at 49.08. Assuming that the market opens somewhere in this range, I'm going to look to be a buyer. Then I'm going to watch and see if the market will rally, and I think we could get a pop up into 50, 80, up to the previous highs here. Actually, probably back to the support level first, to 49.81s. And potentially carrying on here to 50.39s. And if we really want to get serious about it, we could very well be looking at the bottom of the rally back out on the daily chart that takes us back up to 52.70s. You could potentially, right here at the open, be buying up 149.27s and be catching a rally that brings us all the way back to 52.74s. The market has set up at the end of the week, breaking it down to that 15-minute chart, has set up for a move like that. Now, will it happen? I don't have any idea. Another way that you can play this trade, if you want to be a little bit more conservative with it, is you can bring your support level in here, and you can form up your wedge. And you can say, I am going to wait for the market to break above and close above my wedge trend line before I enter the market. That's also going to allow you to place your stops right below these previous lows right here. So there are some options in here that you have in terms of how you're going to place that trade. But again, all we're doing here is looking at structure. And we're saying the market has held a support level into the close. After a dramatic move down on news, the market traded sideways and formed a support level. If we break out of that, there's a high probability we're going to run right back up to basically 150s and potentially 150.40s, 150.50s. So a very, very nice potential move here into the open for tomorrow. And you guys will just have to, or basically here in a couple hours, you guys are going to have to make that decision on how you're going to trade that. But I'm just showing you how I trade it. And again, I want to run through. This is not an indication to buy or sell anything. I'm simply telling you what I'm looking at. And we'll come back next week and we'll see, whether I was right or whether I was wrong. But I bet with my own pocketbook. So I put my own money on the line, and I accept responsibility for my own actions. And you guys are going to have to do the same. But there's a couple of different trades. The euro dollar, talking with you about being long there, and then the pound dollar also setting up some potential long opportunities. We could be looking at a move out of dollars over the next week or so. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I'm out of time, guys. I knew I wouldn't have time to get to a lot, but I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to be seeing a lot of you next week at the Technical Trader Summit. And for those of you who cannot make that live, I am going to be sending you an email tomorrow explaining how you can do that virtually, how you can attend virtually and still get the content, even though you won't have the benefit of being at the cocktail socials and rubbing elbows with all the other traders who are going to be at the event. And it is still not too late for you guys to come to the event. If you still want to hop on a plane and fly out here to Kansas City next week, it's Friday and Saturday. You guys are welcome to do that. We'll take money at the door. I have a few seats left open that you guys can have. So feel free to come on out if you're like, I'm just going to do it. Feel free. So until next time, guys, good luck and good trading. I'll talk to you soon.